The inflation rate in Nigeria has been on a steady increase. You don't need to know economics to know that. You just need to go to the market. True or false? Right? You just need to go to the market. That means every single day you go to the market, there's a hike in price of a particular item that you usually buy. Right? One popular one now is gas. Right? For those of you that use gas, some of you have you're relegated to using firewood now. Right, well, you use gas. You know, gas is currently about 8,000, some places 8,500, and that's more than 100% increase because I remember very well filling gas for like 3.5, even though the time was 3K. So it's not that bad that you're in a country where you can have money right in your hand, and that money is constantly, steadily depleting in value. Alright, so I'm just saying this as an introduction to help you understand that really there's a lot of things not to be happy about in this country. Alright? But I'd like to say this. How many of us have read the book David and Goliath? David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. Anyone have read the book? Okay, beautiful, beautiful. 2 persons have read the book. And then there's a quote in that book that talks about the advantage of disadvantages and the disadvantage of advantages. Alright? That means disadvantages have advantages. And advantages too have disadvantages. So when you sit down and look at Nigeria and you look like you are standing from a disadvantaged point, know that there are also advantages that comes with that. Alright? But you know the problem is that if you do not know and know how to navigate it, you will not be able to first harness the advantages that comes with the disadvantages. Are we together? Alright, so in disadvantages there are also great advantages. I like to tell, because I'm a business trainer, when I'm training people and they talk about the difficulty in doing business in Nigeria, one of the things I tell them is that, do you know that the business you are doing now, if you were living in the UK, you cannot even start it. You cannot. Right? So with all of the mess, there still is in starting business, even though there's no easy in doing business, but it's easy to start it. And then if you are dogged, you can also be able to navigate your way and then scale the business. Alright? And this applies to many other things. If you want to talk about there are no jobs, there are still advantages to these things. Are we together? We have an enormous, what's the population of Nigeria? It's over 200 million, right? So that means virtually anything you try to do now, you have people that will buy, that will patronize either your product or service. Are we together? So I'm starting on that note first to help us first have a mind shift and know that even if it seems all bleak, even if it seems like there's no hope, really there's hope. There's a lot that you can do, right? So many times you just need to bootstrap, you just need to, be able to get yourself up. The truth is that nobody's coming to help, nobody's coming to save you, nobody's coming to help you. So you have to realize that, and then you know that you have to be responsible for yourself. Are we together? So today I'm going to be speaking on transformational leadership. Transformational leadership. Okay? It's no power, and that just further addresses what we are talking about, the country that we are living in. Alright? But we are used to it. And we know that it will get better. Yes, it will. It will. And the earlier you start preparing yourself to be part of that change, the better for you. Because you see, when the change will eventually come, do you know what will happen? There will be spectators and there will be participators. There will be people that will be like, wow, is this Nigeria? Wow, is this Nigeria that's working like this? And there will be the people that are making it work. Right? And if you have not equipped yourself beforehand and prepared yourself, right, when the change eventually comes, you will be one of the people that will be saying, wow, like an ambulance, wow, is this Nigeria, wow. And then young persons like you will be the ones that are driving that change that you thought would never happen. Are we together? So the time is what? Now. The time to start building capacity is now. The time to start developing yourself for that Nigeria that you picture, that you feel sometimes you ask yourself, is this even possible? The time to start building the capacities for all of this is now. Because when it's coming, you need people. And then they will start finding people of capacity to fill in certain spaces. Will you just be an onlooker at that time? Ask yourself that question. Are we together? Alright, so let's move very quickly. So everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything does what? Rises and falls on leadership. Right? Nigeria is where it is today because of what? Leadership. The United States of America is where it is today because of what? Leadership. Right? Any country that is doing poorly or any country that is doing excellently well, they are where they are because of leadership. Are we together? And this is so important. That's why it's important that such a topic is being taught to young persons. Because you see, many of us may not go into political offices, but many of us will occupy certain positions where the leadership will be required of us to bring about transformation in this nation. Right? And if we do not at this level begin to develop ourselves and begin to learn the right things, we'll get there and we will make a greater mess of ourselves. Right? Because the problem in the country is not because we have an old president. I hope you know that. I'm a young person, right? But I don't believe that the solution Nigeria needs is to have a young president. We can have an equally young and stupid president. You already see young and stupid politicians. Are you not seeing them? So the problem is not that, oh, they're not giving the youth a chance. That's not the problem. Don't peddle that. Right? The president of the US, even the one before this one, they are both very old people. All are over 70. Does that make the country less a successful nation? The answer is no. Alright? So we have to understand really what these things are. Okay? Some of us will get into these positions at a young age. Some of us will get into the position at a much older age. But what's important is the content of what you have and not necessarily your age. Are we together? Oh. Okay. Give me time. Okay. Are you serious? Okay, let me try and rush through. So let's take a look at this picture. This was Dubai in 1990 in the picture on the left. And then the picture on the right is Dubai as at 2010. Alright? Some of you probably have visited Dubai, or even if you have not visited, you have visited it on the internet, right? And this happened in a space from this 1990 to 2010, this is like a space of 20 years, right? And you can see the drastic transformation. All of this is a result of proper leadership. So even in Nigeria, great transformation can come. In organizations, great transformation can come if we have proper leadership. Are we together? Alright, next please. Okay, so whether a system will fail or succeed depends on the leadership. And then true transformation is birthed by leadership. And that's the reason why we're talking about transformational leadership. So let's go see really quickly. I have so it was Alexander the Great that says that, he says, I'm not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep. I am afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. That means it seems like an army of lions should be more dangerous, right? But because the leader is a sheep, right, the army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat them. That's the power of leadership. You cannot explain it. Alright? And so this is why this is so important. Let's move forward quickly. So what do you see? What do you see? A dog. What can you deduce? It's a dog. So what can you tell? What's the dog doing? What's the dog doing? Who can tell? Look at this very critically. What do you see? Tell me, what do you see? Yes. And what's the dog doing? What? No idea. Anybody? Yeah. It's not too deep. Just look at the picture. What can you diffuse? Don't worry, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just it's walking. Beautiful. It's walking. Any other person? You know, many times we like overthink things. It's walking. Yes. Any other thing?
It's on the move.
It's on the move. All right. Okay. Somebody says on the move. Somebody says walking. Okay. So let's see the next slide. So what do you now see? It's leading. All right. So one of the first things that this should teach you is that the way to test if you are leading is looking back. The way to test if you are truly leading is by looking back. If nobody is following you, then you are only doing what? Taking a stroll. So if it was just a dog like in the first picture, the dog was just walking or taking a stroll. But now with this that you can see the fuller picture, the dog is said to be doing what? Leading. Are we together? And so if you think you are leading, but no one is following you, you are only taking a stroll. One thing we must understand is that in every caterpillar, there is a butterfly. And the caterpillar is a very ugly, what I call it, it's not an insect yet, it's still a creeping thing. It doesn't look beautiful, there's nothing beautiful about it. It's slow, right? It creeps on its belly, it's not fun. But inside that same caterpillar is a butterfly. But a process of transformation has to occur for the butterfly to come out. If that transformation does not occur, it will continue to creep, it will never fly. It will never realize its full potentials of flying. Alright? So it takes transformational leaders first to transform themselves, transform the organization they find themselves, and then begin to transform people. So transformational leaders do not just build people, they also build people who in turn build other people. Are we together? And so this is why it's so important, because it has a ripple effect on organizations and in society at large. Are we following? Alright, next quickly. And so let's just look at, we'll run through this very quickly, the 5 levels of leadership. The first is position, right? And you are given a position. People only follow you because of the authority you have based on the position, no other reason. The next is permission. Now you are beginning to build relationships with people. So people follow you based on the relationship, and now you're having influence on them. They are following you because they want to, not because they have to. Alright? The next level is production. It is because of what you have done for the organization. You see people who, because of the way they perform in an organization, have you noticed that in school, the scholar of your class, you tend to listen to him more? Yeah, you have to listen, right? Because he's like the person with a 4.9 GPA, right? So because of what he's doing, his results, people tend to listen to him and are being influenced by him. That's what production. And in the organization, you see people who do so well in an organization, they tend to build some certain form of influence. And then the fourth level is people development, and this is what you have done for people. So this is not what you just do for organization, but what you are now doing for the people in the organization. And then the fifth, which is the pinnacle and the highest level of leadership, is at this point that you begin to build level 4 leaders. That means you begin to build people who do things for people, and at that level, it is not just people respecting you for what you do, it's respecting you for who you are and what you represent. Are we together? And it is, very few people actually live to become level 5 leaders. But it doesn't mean it's not attainable, right? Because you have gotten to a point where now people listen to anything you say because of who you are, because of the reputation that you have built over time, and you have built level 4 leaders. That means it's now a ripple, it has a ripple effect. So there's now a geometric progression. The people who you have built other persons, alright? And so that's the highest level, and that's the level where most transformational leaders stand out. And what you discover is that for transformational leaders, they outlive their time. So 10, 20 years after they are gone, you still see people quoting them, talking about them, making reference to their stories because they are transformational leaders. And and then their life goes beyond generation. It's transgenerational. Are we together? Are we together? All right. So next please. Transformational leadership. So take a look at this picture very quickly. I know some of us may be able to recognize some of the persons in the picture. Many of us know Mahatma Gandhi, right? You know Martin Luther King Jr. You know Oprah Winfrey, Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, let's hear. Mother Teresa, Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela. The great Martin Luther King, many of us know his famous speech, I have a dream. That dream became a reality 40 years after, when Barack Obama, another transformational leader, became president. Are we together? You know, so these people have visions and dreams that are bigger than them, that outlive them. So even when they're out of this scene, their life is still speaking. And you must, at this point, begin to shape your life. What we used to say, have big, hairy, audacious goals. That means you should not be just having a goal to buy a Toyota Camry. What is that? What level of smallness is that? You just want to have a job that will pay you 600,000 and you are okay. What level of smallness is that? Right? Organizations are the ones paying people as much as 3 million naira per month. It's owned by somebody like you that has one brain. And all you are thinking of is that I can just get one job that will pay me 500k. I will just buy one spider. I will just rent one house. And that's how small you are thinking. That means you're only thinking about yourself. Nothing about you is transformational. Nothing about, when you die, that's where it ends. So we must begin to think, have dreams, aspirations, and visions that are bigger than us. Alright? And begin to pursue them. Begin to develop capacity to pursue them. Are we together? Okay, so transformational leadership is a process that changes and transforms people. It is concerned with emotions, values, ethics, standards, and long-term goals. Alright, next please. I'm almost done. How many more minutes can you give me? 2 minutes, okay. So let's see how we can perform by with 2 minutes. Okay, so transformational leaders transform followers into leaders. Alright? Where other leaders just lead followers, transformational leaders lead leaders. Alright? So a transformational leader is not just having a follower, it's having a follower that is a leader. Alright? So let's look at qualities of transformational leaders. There are 5 I mentioned here. I'm just quickly rush through them. The first thing is that transformational leaders are creative. They are what? Creative. Creativity is simple. Many times we have a skewed understanding of what creativity is. We think that creativity is only that guy that knows how to draw or that knows how to design. You know, or the tech guy, you know, that's what creativity is. Thinking of better ways to bring up solutions. Alright? So if you are thinking of a better way to bring a solution to a particular problem, you are being creative, you are being innovative. Alright? If you are thinking, okay, what's a better way to sweep this hole? An easier way to sweep this hole, and people don't have to bend. And because everybody has been using traditional broom, and then you design that one with a stick, that's being creative. As basic as that is creativity. So transformational leadership leaders are creative. They are non-conformists. They don't only stick within the box. They are not tied by ideologies that society push to them. They think out of the box. Alright? They are extremely creative. And so one of the easiest ways to be creative is to believe that there is a solution, to believe that there is an answer. People who are people that are not creative, what you find oftentimes is that when they see problems, they just tell you that, see this one, nothing can be done, let's just leave it. They tend to call themselves realists. They say, see, let's just look at this thing realistically, nothing can be done. But the first step to creativity is believing that there is an answer and a solution can be made. Are we together? Next quality of are you running ahead of me? No, go back. Next is what they are interactive, right? And that's what great leaders like Barack Obama, you discover that in their leadership they are very interactive and engaging. Barack Obama was the president of the United States of America, and you see sometimes the way he plays with children, the way he engages with his White House staff, and the way he also engages with other top world leaders. One of the characteristics of transformational leaders is that they are able to interact and engage. And you must begin to learn that now. From meetings like this that you attend, begin to network. I always tell people, you don't just sit down and say, yo, I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert. Yeah, actually, I'm not the first introvert. But you see, you cannot just keep telling yourself, I'm an introvert, and then your life is inside, and nothing about your life is coming out. But you have to go and reach out to people. Alright, you see, one of the greatest assets you can have is people. That's why social capital is greater than even your financial capital. You have to understand that. And so you have to be conscious, and then you have to be deliberate about building social capital. Build relationships with people, build networks with people. It's more valuable than money. It is more, I can tell you 100% it is more valuable than money. I'm not just telling you, I'm telling you from experience. Alright? Because seated between here will be somebody who will be the PA to the next governor. Will be somebody who will be the SFA to the president. And then if you have just built relationship at the time when you attended the training together, you already have access. You already have access. So that big thing you have in your mind, you just need one access. And because you have made it a conscious effort to be deliberate about building relationships, it becomes easy. Are we together? Alright, next is what visionary. Transformational leaders are visionary. They have a vision, a big vision, and not just do they have a vision, they have an uncanny way of communicating that vision to the people who are following them. And this was something that Martin Luther King Jr. demonstrated so excellently well. That people still recite that I have a dream. I have a dream that sons of former slaves and sons of former slaveholders, we see people still, if you read the whole of that speech, you'll be amazed. As in the power, the play of words. He did not just have that vision, he was able to communicate it and make people to want to run with it. Right? Some of you have this big vision in your head, but you can't even explain it to somebody else. What are you talking about? You must be able to bring this in. It's a vision, you are seeing it, it's big, it looks impossible, but you must also be able to communicate it clearly for people to follow you. Alright? Next is empowering. So for transformational leaders, they don't just get the job done, they empower people to get the job done. That means your empowering is putting the power in the hands of people and helping them become just like you are. Alright? And so transformational leaders are empowering. Next, they are very passionate. You see, without passion, truly you cannot be a transformational leader, because when you have a vision that is bigger than you, a vision that only you believes in, a vision that everybody has told you is impossible, if there's no passion, you cannot continue working with it. So transformational leaders are very passionate. Are we together? Alright. So leadership is an art, and like many arts, we can learn it, improve on it, and ultimately gain mastery at it. Alright? So don't tell yourself, oh, there are some people that are born leaders. You see, this guy already has the charisma of a leader. It's an art. It can be learned. It can be developed like any other thing. How many of us have read the story of Demosthenes? He's a Greek orator, right? And he had a speech impediment. He was one of the greatest Greek orators. He had a speech impediment. And you know what he used to do? He would put pebbles in his mouth and go and stand by the seashore with the waves of the seashore, and he would start talking. Do you know what that's equivalent to? You see this industrial fan? Go and stand in front of it and try talking. So we used to do that as a kid. You enjoy talking in front of a fan, and you know how it feels like your mouth will be. Now he will take pebbles. This is someone that had a speech impediment. He will take pebbles and put in his mouth. And then he stands in front of the seashore with the heavy waves of the sea. He's talking. This is somebody that naturally has a reason to say this thing called oratory, this thing called public speaking is not for me. True or false? But he became one of the greatest orators. Because that tells you that you see, anything can be learned. And so is leadership. It's an art it can be learned and you can ultimately gain mastery at it. So nothing changes until you change, nothing moves until you do, and becoming a transformational leader starts from the inside before it reflects on the outside. It has to start from your inside, and what's working inside now begins to reflect on the outside. Thank you very much.